What's going on, everyone? My name is Dudo, and I'm the Goalie Gear Snob, and today we're going to be talking about the Vaughn Ion Pro Select Pad. And yes, these are custom manufactured for Mike Vaughn. I have the full set of the pad, glove, and blocker here, and this Vaughn Ion set is specially made in a softer flex, a little bit different than stock. So I'm going to go over some of the changes of this more custom Ion pad, talk about some of the big changes to the line, and I'm going to show you some on-ice clips of me getting to use them. So let's watch along and start with the blocker first. Before I talk about that Ion blockers, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for all my gear reviews coming out for the rest of this summer. Subscribing to the channel and sharing this video out will greatly help grow it, and I appreciate you guys doing that. So let's talk about this blocker now. So looking at this blocker here, I did just want to call out first that it is super light. I know looking at this blocker, it looks very thick. It's a lot different from the VX1 velocity style blockers that have been out there for a while. It looks like a big thick chunk, but I'm telling you now, this is a lot lighter than it looks. Big changes that Vaughn did to this blocker here is they added in a whole bunch of extra carbon here to try to help pop those rebounds out. And of course, with popping rebounds out, they did a little bit more between the palm and the board itself to help with that. The big change here is going to be this CR Plus foam on the inside. You can see that little bit of a channel where the wrist goes, and you can see this extra padding right here. So I did just want to explain this. It's very similar to True's OptiAngle and what Warrior has been doing with their Coverage Plus. But what Vaughn did is it actually added this little foam between the wrist and the board that'll help you project and move pucks out to the corner. So it's a very interesting new piece that Vaughn has done. With that CR Plus foam, it does kind of make the blocker feel a little bit tighter on the hand. So if you're used to kind of being in between palm sizes, not sure if you need a senior or intermediate, you can still get that senior palm, and it's definitely going to tighten it up a little bit, as that is something that I have found happens. Another change they did to the palm of the blocker is they added an extra little elastic strap across both sides of the index finger, kind of prevents that twisting. So it's a cool little thing that they added in there to help that. They've also added in this full wraparound protection right here to cover the index finger. You can see the quick slide hits on the nose of the blocker on the fingers here in those high wear areas, as quick sliders tend to wear a little bit better than some Gen Pro and Weave. So it's cool seeing those additions all the way throughout. Talking about the pros and cons of this blocker, the rebounds were flying off of it. I mean, every blocker save I made, whether it was on like the inside right here, the outside centered on the board, it was just popping off and coming off really hard. Velocity blockers have always been a little bit hit or miss for me. I've always felt that they aren't popping rebounds out as much as I would like and helping them kind of go to the corner. But I found with the Ion that it really does help kind of drive it over to the corner. The addition of the CR Plus foam on the inside of the wrist is really cool. I like that they added this feature in here. However, for me personally, with adding in this extra foam here, it feels really hard on the back of the hand. Like you feel and know that that foam is there, which is good. But with every blocker save I made, I would kind of feel that high density foam transfer in my hand. So I wish there's an extra small layer of comfort foam across the back of the hand between there. It might make it a little bit too tight, but it is just something that I think would kind of help in that comfort, as every time I would make that save, I would really feel it on the hand. So it is a little bit of a trade-off there, but hopefully that Vaughn can address it or maybe do something custom. One other negative with this blocker, and this might have just been because it was brand new when I started using it, but I was having a tough time holding onto the stick. The finger placement right here, it's not necessarily notched like some of the other brands and what they're doing. So it is a little bit straighter right here. So I was feeling like when I was starting to squeeze down, like this is kind of clipping here. It might just be because it's new, but you know, it is something I did just want to call out, that it felt like it was getting a little bit labor intensive towards the end of my 2-hour skate. I felt like my hands were getting, you know, a little heavy, a little tired, and I was really trying to flex and break in this blocker. But that's a quick look at the Ion Pro Select blocker. So now I'm going to grab the glove and talk a little bit more about that. First thing I did just want to call out is I miss this old school Vaughn logo being embroidered on the side cuff of gloves. I think it's just a super cool little addition here, and it's something that I'm probably going to start asking for in my future custom sets. Just love seeing that old school Vaughn logo. But looking at the whole glove here, this is the Ion Pro Select. This is in a 60-degree, and Vaughn will put tags on the inside of the wrist of their gloves. Let me pull it out here. that tells you what it is. So they have the holes kind of, or sorry, the boxes pre-selected there, and they punched out that this is a 60 degree. You can see that right there. They do offer this in a 70 degree. However, that is more of their 580 style glove. I am not a 580 guy. Big misconception. A lot of people think I love it. I am far from it. But the 590 is a little bit more of the in-between for me. Definitely prefer the 600. The 590 is not bad, but I was having a few issues catching some pucks here. But I think that's just because of the user error. That's something for me in having to adjust that angle. Looking at the specs of the glove, super protective shock shield palm. They started adding this in here, so it's basically like, a version of D3O or Curve or whatever that these other, it's basically their version of, like D3O or Poron, whatever. They basically have this extra bit of material right here that kind of helps protect the palm. So this is going to be a game ready with that extra shock shield, and it makes a pretty decent closure. Then you're going to get the double T right out of the box. It's their original double T, so it has the two full spines running down that connect. They do not overlap. Vaughn might be working on something with a new double T in the near future. You never know. Full skate lace pocket throughout. I wish that I still had the polyester lace on the side and then the skate lace between. I find that the skate lace is a little bit tougher for me to look through. It feels very busy, so I like having just the skate lace between and then the polyester here. But with this glove coming out of the Vaughn factory, it's very well crafted and put together, and Vaughn does a really good job of putting their pockets in the glove because as they start to lace it, they really try to pound it out and push it around so they know what a goalie is looking for. So I think an overall, like, out of the box feel and look, like, Vaughn makes a pretty solid glove. So I like that here. Looking at the backhand of the glove, basically your traditional XP SLR3, SLR4 style with the air knit right here. It's angled back a little bit more, doesn't come over as much. They still have a lot more padding across the backhand, the finger rail. It's a very kind of like stock standard Vaughn glove, kind of what you would expect. But this is the closure of the glove. 590, it's basically that 60 degree angle, and for me personally, I was getting a lot of pucks across here, across the fingers, a few more across the backhand. You can actually see that one right there on the quick slide, but I felt that I was kind of catching low down here. I wasn't catching as clean up in the pocket as I would like in the 600, so I definitely have to readjust to that. Opening up the backhand of the glove, you undo the strap here across the back of the thumb. You have a new kind of thumb loop that they have where it's a Velcro closure. It doesn't have that old kind of like, Gen Pro that you'd have to tie into a knot. Pretty cool little design that they have there. Then you open up the wrist, and you can see that they have their standard internal strapping system. 3 straps. Nothing special, nothing crazy, kind of normal for what you'd expect from a Vaughn glove, but still very adjustable. So if you want to get that good fit and feel, you can get it right here. Looking at the pros and cons of this glove, I just wasn't quite used to this shape. I really like the velocity. I love the VX1. I love that style. I love that angle. I love the 600 glove. So going back to a 590 is a little bit different for me. I would definitely have to adjust to it a little bit more, but it's definitely something I could get used to. It is a senior palm on here. Game ready with that shock shield. I wish I had an intermediate palm or an in-between palm, as Ev and I like to call it. Something special that they do where instead of just doing the full senior length palm and then senior width palm, and then instead of the intermediate where it's like intermediate length and width, they do an in-between where it's the senior length but then the intermediate width. So it tightens up the finger stalls while still allowing you to get your fingers all the way into the glove. So it is something that I would probably want to custom order, and I have had on my gloves before, so it is something I'd like to look at in the future. One other negative of the glove, if you will, is I wish that this little pinky strap right here was the same as the one that's on the thumb loop. I just don't like seeing these hang down as much anymore, and I couldn't really get my finger as tight as I wanted to here. I wish I had that little Velcro system, so it is something that maybe Vaughn could address in the future. Who knows? The overall pro of the glove was that for the ones I took right into the palm, right into the crease, the protection was there, the closure is there, stick handling was there, just an overall really solid 590. I think this is one of the better 590s that are out on the market. But again, let's take a look at that closure there. Pretty solid glove, pretty decent. Now that I've talked about this glove here and I have shown off the graphic, I'm going to talk about the special leg pads. One of the big changes on the Ion Pro Select is they have more of a one-piece integrated knee block. So this knee block runs more into the core of the pad. You can actually see where it passes through to the inside, and I can't really even get my finger into that gap there. It's kind of integrated and dovetail jointed to the inside of the pad, so it makes it a lot more rigid. Has the tiniest bit of flexibility, but I'm like really pulling on it to get it to wrench open, but it's pretty solid, so that when you hold the pad just by the knee block, you don't get any more tilt loss, any sort of negative rotation. It's designed to make the pad a little bit more flush on the ice. They carry this strap from the outside knee wing and the knee block across. They kind of leave the knee lander perfectly connected, so it makes it for a really solid landing area here. It runs right across. Some other changes they did to the top half of the pad is they have thinned out their top edge. It is still a little bit thicker compared to pads and their standard, but it is very thin for Vaughn. But it is carbon reinforced, where the carbon material will wrap over top, so you don't really get a lot of twisting on the inside edge of the pad. It's definitely made to, kind of seal a little bit more. So it's pretty cool that they have that carbon in here that doesn't really cause that torsion. So again, newer for Vaughn, and it makes the pad, a little bit more stiffer. Overall, this pad is a lot stiffer compared to the SLR3, SLR4. Yes, this is a softer build pad. This is still one of the stiffer pads I have tried. So it's pretty cool. It's going to give you that shape, that profile you want, but definitely this is not going to be a softer velocity style pad. This is going to be pretty stiff. Another change that Vaughn did is not only do they make this a laceless inside edge right here, where your foot can transfer up and down without kind of catching on this material right here. Sorry, the toe laces are dirty. The rink I was skating at had really dirty nets and put out the old ones for the skate. I used it, so got a little bit of rust on the toe ties. It happens. But it makes for a really clean kind of integration sliding into the post. Another thing that I wish a lot more people talked about was this inside, calf wrap right here. It is super clean. It's very simple and very reduced, so that you're skating it in and out of the pad without any issue. So I really like this on the Ion. I think it's a really cool addition that they really clean this area up. So looking at the inside edge of the pad here, you can actually see that I have no internal straps whatsoever. I have nothing coming from these two spots right here. The stock straps that were on these were really short and I couldn't get them to fit around my leg. So I literally just wore these with the two straps here, and I kind of modified an extra little Bauer knee strap just to kind of like wrap over top just in case. I wanted to have a little bit of an extra feel, but I'm going to be honest, it was so loose I didn't even notice it was there. So these two straps really controlled everything. However, you can adjust their RRC straps to be really tight on the inside of the leg right here. You can see both these little bunny ears hanging around. They have another one on the outside of the leg right here that runs from the inside calf wrap. So they are very adjustable, and you can order longer lengths from Vaughn. I wish I did have those longer lengths, as I wish I could control the pad a little bit more, but I was really surprised with how it performed with just those little straps right there. Closing off the leg channel, has a very simple outer strap. It is on elastic, as a lot of other companies have nylon, so it's pretty cool that you can still pull it tight and it has a good amount of stretch to it. I still wore it incredibly loose, like I was just talking about, but it is something that you can adjust. Looking on the inside calf, it is fully NHL spec knee, NHL spec calf, so it has that half introduction right here. And it's a lot stiffer than in years past. It usually kind of folds around quite a bit, but this is pretty stiff and rigid, which allows for that great sliding. And coupled with this quick slide inner edge right here, I was sliding all over the place a little bit too much. I talked about how, sometimes in my old VX1 pads, I would slide around a little bit too much. So I was experiencing that a little bit here, but I think it is something I could definitely get used to. The slide of these pads was fantastic. So I'm sure you're asking yourself, Chris, you've been talking about it the whole time, what makes this pad so much softer? And there's a little bit of a softer boot, a little bit softer below the knee, a little bit softer above the knee. So it has, gonna allow to get you like a good amount of flex out of the pad, but it's not really gonna cause too much torsion to happen. It is just like softer build. So this is kind of what you consider like the soft boot break, soft below, soft above. So if you're gonna custom order Ions and want a softer pad, this is what you would get. To be honest, I wish it was still a little bit softer because this boot is very rigid, not a lot of torsion to it. So I was feeling it a lot when I was sliding in and out of the post, that it felt really stiff on the legs, and I was kind of like feeling it on my legs afterwards. But overall, still a softer build on the Ion pad. I know a lot of people think that when you custom order a stiff pad to make it soft, it's going to break it. And I'll be honest, I've kind of been in that same boat too. But I didn't feel that there's anything less about these pads by making them soft. If anything, I think it was a welcome change. For some of the pros and the cons on the pad, the rebounds were hot, the slide was great, the seal was there. I felt very comfortable in them. Like, mobility was great. Felt like I've been wearing these things for years, so I was a big fan of that. The only things I would change would be like on the back of the pad for strapping. So I would actually ask to move this knee lock in as much as possible towards this core lacing. I don't like how wide it is, and I felt that my pants were jamming up into this flap right here, so I wish it was pulled in a little bit more. But the overall length of the strap was good. I just wish this knee was in a little bit more. I wish I had the longer, at least the top internal RRC strap, just to kind of help control things a little bit more. But again, just another custom option. I could ask Vaughn to whip one up and throw one on here. But overall, those would be like my really big changes I would make to the strapping. Do a little bit of a softer boot just to try to get, you know, a little bit more torsion out of the pad. But overall, very happy with how these perform. These are 32+1. It has a royal blue embroidery, so pretty cool. It's kind of hidden back there. I like the overall size of these. I wish they were a hair taller, a little bit more like a 32 1.5. Like a 32.2 would definitely be a little bit too big for me, but I think that 1.5 would be the perfect middle ground. I know that a lot of people say, you know, being at 5'10", I shouldn't be wearing a 32, but as these clips are kind of showing here, you can see how well this 32.1 fits me. I like to keep a lot of the, the slack in the toe ties and keep things tight across the knee, but that 32 knee fits me really well. I've heard a lot of other people say that, Vaughn pads tend to run big. Like, I personally don't experience that. Like, I'm a 32 in almost every single brand minus Bauer. So like, I'm a 32.1, a 32.1.5 and like everything. So like, I don't know, like for me, like they just fit really well. True's a little bit of an anomaly for me, where I like a little bit of a taller thigh on there. I think their thighs are a little bit shorter by default, but honestly, like a 32 1.5, a 32.2, it's that sweet spot for me. I definitely wouldn't need to go to a 31 in these. So here's some final honest thoughts on the Vaughn gear. I really like wearing Vaughn gear. I like supporting Ev. I like the service that he provides to me. Just, like a random guy that works in the industry that happens to skate with pros every now and again. So he's way overly kind to me. So I love using Vaughn gear and just supporting him. When it comes to the actual gear, like I'm really happy I got to experience the Velocity gear and the Ion gear. I think I would go a little bit more towards the Ion leg pads. I definitely would want to try that Ion blocker, but I still think I'm a Velocity glove user. The big things I liked about the pads here were the rebounds. I had a great slide. The seal was there. Very comfortable to shuffle, T-push, slide around in. Like, this is probably one of the most comfortable pads I've worn for as stiff as they kind of are. So it's really cool that, at first when I saw the Ion gear, I was like, man, this thing they look poker straight. They might not be my style, but I was very happy with the mobility I was getting out of them. When it comes to the custom options, Vaughn has a lot of cool things they can do when it comes to like the glove palm, some of the extra blocker palms that they offer, some of the extra modifications they can do to the leg pads. I think Vaughn is pretty top tier when it comes to those custom options. So for any of the custom things I was saying that I would like to do across the pad, glove, and blocker, Vaughn could absolutely accommodate. So I definitely think if you're shopping retail and you want the pad that's going to give you that good rebound, good slide, good seal, I definitely would recommend looking at this Vaughn Ion set here. Honestly, again, I was very apprehensive about trying to, use this gear. I was very worried just when I first saw it in the catalog, first saw the samples. I definitely thought it was going to be for me, but I was pleasantly surprised with this line, and I think that everyone else should definitely check it out too. Definitely do not be scared of it. I absolutely recommend trying it out. I did just want to say thank you guys for watching along to this video here, and please stay tuned, as throughout the summer I'm going to be posting a lot more gear reviews and how-to videos. So if you definitely want to learn a lot more about gear and the gear I have been using, please make sure you check those videos out throughout the summer. My name is Dudo, and I'm the Goalie Gear Snob, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to see me talk about my Vaughn Velocity VX1 initial review, please click that video right there. And if you'd like to learn more about what the NHL goalies wore, click that gear breakdown right there.